Welcome to what we call the Pro Zone. Now, you've maybe heard this phenomenon before, and this essentially is when any top athlete, and you've probably done this yourself, is essentially when you have the game of your life, right? The best game you've ever played. You hear people refer this to, I was in the zone. So we call this the Pro Zone. And it's unique to every single player. There's not one way that works for everybody. But what we want to do now is try and help you find a way to get into your pro zone. That's what we call it, right? That mental state where you go out and have the game of your life. You're the best player on the field, you dominate. So we want you to find that zone. So some examples of this might be that you're calm, you're relaxed, you're pumped up, you need to listen to loud music, you need to maybe have mental conversations with yourself, right? Say like, I got this, ready for the game of my life. Things like that. Maybe you need to be the one that leads the group chat or the group huddle before the game. Maybe you need to visualize ahead of time before the game, right? And really get into that mindset. And it's all about you really putting those pieces into place to help you find that zone. Now, for us, there are really two categories of emotions. We have positive emotions and negative emotions. So just because something is negative or positive, it doesn't mean it can't help you. So you can have a negative emotion help you because it could be frustration, right? You could be frustrated at your performance, or maybe you give a bad pass away or something like that, but you can transfer that into pushing you to be better. Okay, so let's talk about some examples now when we get into this. So you could have an example of maybe feeling angry or frustrated before playing. That can either hinder your performance or it's going to motivate you. So there's two ways you could swing that. We're going to talk about that in a second how, but just understand. The same thing with excitement. You could get to a point where you're super, super excited and it hinders your performance because maybe it turns into nervousness. Now, there's no right or wrong way to do this. This is about finding your zone. So it's different for everybody. Okay? It's about establishing and using what works best for you. Now, let's come back to the example I gave, right? Feeling angry or frustrated. So a lot of players, what happens is when they get angry or frustrated, this is going to hinder their performance. Now, the best players, if they get frustrated, especially, or even angry, right, they can transfer that and use that as motivation instead of a hindrance. So, like, let's say you're playing in a game and you make a mistake and you get frustrated with yourself. And you say, man, I should have done better, right? So instead of getting angry and hindering yourself from doing better, be like, you know what? I can do better. I got this. You can still be frustrated, but transfer it in a way that's actually going to benefit you and it's going to motivate you to do better. That is the key. So that's what we want you to understand is you can have positive and negative emotions. There's no right or wrong way to do this. The challenge though is it motivates you to do better, or it should. If it's not, that means it's slowing down or stopping your performance. Now, and the next thing we're going to show you an example, we're calling this the Pro Zone PDF. And it's going to be very similar to what you did when you mastered your perception. And basically, it's you self-analyzing what you need to do to get into that pro zone, that mental state where you are ready to dominate the field. So what we want you to do is write down at least 3 things that you believe will help you achieve of getting into that pro mindset, that pro zone before the game. Okay, so let's dive into the examples. Right, so here's the 2 examples. So we asked 2 questions in this PDF. We ask you, what are the most important emotions that I need to feel, because we're talking about yourself, I need to feel to get into my pro mindset zone or the pro zone, right? So for me, it's I got to be confident, I need to be excited, but calm, right? I don't want to be running around smashing my head against the wall, right? I can be excited for the game. Like when I went to the World Cup, I was super excited, but I had to be calm at the same time to keep that mental peace for myself. And then I had to be ready for action. So hopefully that gives you an idea, right? I had to be confident in myself. I had to be excited. I had to be calm, right? I didn't want to lose my mind and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm at the World Cup, right? And then be ready for action. Now, what are some ideas you can use to get yourself into the pro mindset zone? I need to visualize my performance on the car ride over or maybe bus ride and focus on my game. This means I am mentally checking in and staying sharp before kickoff, right? So visualization is a really important tool that a lot of players, especially elite players, use. And we'll talk about this more, but visualization is essentially where you, let's say, close your eyes and you can mentally picture yourself doing something, right? Playing in the game, or it could be anything really, but let's use soccer or football as context, right? Playing in the game, and you're executing different tasks. Maybe it's dribbling, passing, shooting, and you can see yourself doing it. Now, that can help you prepare for the game because then you can actually replicate it on the field. Now, maybe you also lead the group huddle before kickoff and give the team the hurrah speech to get everyone pumped up, right? And then as you walk on the field for battle, tell yourself that I'm ready for the game of my life. And actually, this is something I did at the World Cup for futsal. Every time I stepped on the field, or as I'm stepping on, I would literally tell myself, I'm ready for the game of my life. And I left everything on the court. I gave everything I had. So you're going to get the same type of thing you're going to get in the next one. And that way you have access to the whole thing and you're just going to fill it in for yourself. And again, list it. Maybe you need to bullet point it and do it as it fits for you. But then give you that thought process of how can I get myself into this and be ready for it. Okay? So without further ado, see you in the next video.